Welcome to Satsang, and a very, very happy Dhanteras to everybody. I want to start today. We usually don't start Satsang with just a talk. We usually go straight into questions. But I want to start Satsang tonight with a story that I love. It was a little too long to do in the Ganga Aarti. But it was a story I was thinking about as I was talking about Dhanteras in the Aarti. So I thought, chalo, I'll share it in Satsang. And it's a story of an ancient temple, a Buddhist temple, that was in either Cambodia or Thailand. I can't remember which one. And it was the temple of the Golden Buddha. And all of the people worshipped at this beautiful temple of the Golden Buddha. And then the invaders came. And when the invaders came, they were looting everything, stealing everything, destroying everything. And of course, naturally, one of the things invaders love is gold. And in order to protect their Buddha, the monks of the temple of the Golden Buddha covered their Golden Buddha with clay so that it would seem worthless from the perspective of looters. And the good news was that the temple survived, the Buddha survived, but the monks didn't. And all of the descendants assumed that the Buddha was clay, and they were worshipping for a very long time at this temple of the clay Buddha. And one day, some of the monks were cleaning this clay Buddha, and they saw something glistening from within. And they slowly started to see what it was, and there was a crack in the clay. And they noticed that it was this glistening from inside the clay. And so they slowly started removing it, only to discover that it was gold on the inside. And I love this story for many, many reasons, but especially on a day when, for most Indians in India and around the world, it's a day dedicated basically to gold. Like, let us buy gold. It's an auspicious day to get gold. And as I was saying in the Ganga Aarti, that's not actually the deep meaning of it. When we speak about dhan, wealth, it's not meant to mean cash or bills or traveler's checks or bonds, or it's meant to mean inner spiritual wealth. And we'll talk a little bit more about this on Diwali, which is actually the festival of worshiping the goddess Lakshmi, who far too many people think is the goddess of cash, when actually she's the goddess of deep, real wealth, spiritual wealth. But on Dhanteras today, when we speak specifically about gold, it's a really powerful and auspicious day to ask ourselves, what is my clay? If I'm gold and I've just been covered up by clay, and it's such a perfect analogy to what the ego does. Like the monks who covered up the Golden Buddha weren't trying to ruin its life. They weren't trying to devalue it. They were actually trying to save it, to protect it. And that's actually what our egos do. When we tell ourselves stories about how weak we are, or small we are, or worthless we are, or useless we are, or undeserving we are. It's the ego's way of trying to protect us so that, God forbid, we shouldn't take a risk or have courage or dare to dream and then get frustrated, fail, lose something, be embarrassed. And so it's the ego's best effort at trying to protect us. But the dilemma is then we live our entire lives having no idea who we are, like all of the people who worshipped at the temple of the clay Buddha. And so what it reminds us also is that the goal, the aim and objective is not about how do I get more gold from the outside. Because going back to the Buddha analogy, like the whole thing's gold. It's gold at the core. We don't have to get more gold and stick it on top of the clay. That would be kind of futile and silly. If you had this clay Buddha and you wanted to make it gold, you wouldn't go out and get gold and stick it on the clay. The minute you realized the Buddha was gold, you would just remove the clay. Much simpler than trying to cover the clay with gold. But that's actually what most of us do. We spend our lives metaphorically covering the clay that we have stuck on top of the gold of who we are. And we then look for gold outside. I'll get this degree, make this much money, get this certificate, have this many followers, get this kind of facelift, or look like that, or these clothes, or whatever it may be. Sticking gold on the clay. And all we're doing is suffocating ourselves. So it's a very auspicious day to ask ourselves, what's my clay? What's my clay? What have I stuck on top of the truth of who I am? What illusion, what story have I stuck onto my true self about who I am? What nonsense am I telling myself about who I am that is blocking my true light from my eyes? So let this be the day that rather than focusing so much on what I'm going to buy, on what can I melt? What can I melt? What can I go in the evening and sit on the banks of Ganga and let her melt away? Because one of the easiest ways to get clay off of gold is just wash it. Just stick it in water. It'll melt. So allow ourselves to melt away that clay. With that, rather than beginning with one of the questions that's come in advance, I'm happy to start. Yes, Tony.
Namaste.
Namaste.
My name's Tony. I'm from Portland, Oregon in the States. My question is this. When you have a decision to make, whether it's large or small, and there are options, and the options both have pros and cons, and it's fairly evenly distributed, your brain is telling you to think about one option. Your gut is telling you to think about another. How do you know when to follow your gut and then trust that making that decision by following your gut was the right decision?
Great question. In general, following your gut is a really good thing to do. There's all sorts of really fun neuroscience, new data actually about the cells of the gut and how it really is kind of the same as the cells of the brain. And it's really fun research about this organ that we always thought really was just about digesting food and pooping. And actually it turns out it's really about thinking and feeling and guiding. And yet, it's not foolproof any more than our brain is foolproof or what we think of as our heart is foolproof. Because if I'm nervous, If before walking into satsang I have butterflies in my tummy, I don't, thankfully, but public speaking is like the number one fear on earth. And you think about how many people, if they didn't go on stage because they had butterflies in their stomach, how much we'd lose. How many singers, how many musicians, how many speakers, how many actors or actresses or whatever it may be. There's a lot of things in life that cause our gut to contract in fear. Telling someone you love that you love them. Right? I mean, think back to a time, for those of you who are not or those of you who are in a stable, long-term relationship. Go back to the time when things weren't so stable, when you were dating or, and you were nervous. And you really liked someone, but you were so nervous to tell them. Oh my God, what if they don't like me? Oh my God, what if... Well, that also is the gut, right? I mean, the heart's like, oh, I love you. And the gut says, no, I can't say it. What if I get rejected? So... yes, we should, in theory, listen to the gut, except when it's being ruled by the brain. And given that we now know the gut-brain connection, it's really subtle to know, is the instinct in my gut truly a gut reaction? Or is it my gut reacting to a fear in my brain? And it requires a level of subtlety that most of us don't have. And that's why simply listening to your gut, you can't say always do it, because it would keep a lot of us from taking the risks that we're actually meant to take in life. Here's for me what my favorite way of making decisions like that is. And this is after you've gone through all of the logical questions around, like what's in alignment with my values and what's in alignment with Dharma and what's good for the planet. And we've done all of that already. And we still end up with these two different options. Equally in alignment with my values, equally in alignment with what seems to be Dharma, equally good for the planet, it seems. Here's what I do. I get into a deep meditative state, anchored, grounded, connected, in the breath, in consciousness, as free from the games of the mind, the desires, the fears, the voices. And then I picture actually having made each decision 5 years from now. And for me, for some reason, I don't know why it works like this, but for me, for some reason, I have found that doing a visualization in which I am watching it emerge from a body of water, for some reason makes it really powerful. So I close my eyes and I picture that I am looking into a lake, a pond, and that like junk on the surface of the lake parts, and suddenly I can see really clearly in the water. And I see emerge from the water what life is like 5 years from now, what it looks like, what it feels like in my body. Having made decision A, and then having made decision B. And then I do it 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And just get 3 or 4 visions down the path of your life. How does it feel? What does your life look like? What does your life feel like in your body, in your gut, in your heart, having made each of those decisions? And for me, usually, if there is a right decision, that usually shows it to me. Because one of them, either 5 years from now or 20 years from now, I have that feeling of like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But sometimes both of them feel fine. And then it's, what we call kind of the embarrassment of riches, right? Like, you're fortunate enough to have 2 or 3 fantastic options. And that happens sometimes. There isn't always only one right choice. So if you go through all of these exercises and there still doesn't seem to be any difference, flip a coin. But if you feel like your gut is pulling you one way and your mind is pulling you a different way, then it sounds like there is some discrepancy and you could benefit from all right, what does that feel like? What does it look like 10 years from now? How do I feel having made that decision? And really go into it. Yeah, great question. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Danielle. I'm from Israel. Actually, my question is related to the previous question, so it really felt like the right time to ask. So I have a lot of fears and anxiety from a young age for many reasons.
Yes.
And it has formed into really great difficulty making decisions up to a point where it just felt so hard and being pulled constantly by so many different directions, different voices, that like I quit a lot of things because it was too hard, and I got very depressed. And one of the good things that came out of it is that I came to India. And I feel like here I finally have this space to sit, like you just said, with my emotions for the first time without feeling overwhelmed. I am still learning and evolving this ability, and also I am scared that once I go back home, I will get pulled back to the same habits. And I was wondering if you have anything to say about that, or any advice for a practice to really ground yourself in these sort of situations.
Yeah, beautiful. So, first of all, you said you're from Israel. Growing up anywhere on this planet is an anxiety-ridden situation these days. Growing up in Israel is a very anxiety-ridden situation. It is not surprising that you have grown up with a lot of fears and anxieties. And I reflect that back to you because a lot of times we tend to blame ourselves and to feel like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not stronger? And sometimes it's really helpful to just remember, oh yeah, I grew up somewhere where I didn't necessarily know whether my loved ones were going to be there in the morning, whether I would be there in the morning, whether our home would be bombed overnight. I mean, nobody anywhere in the world knows that. There's no guarantee anywhere in the world that when you go to sleep, your loved ones are going to be there in the morning. But the situation over the last few decades in Israel, in Palestine, in much of the Middle East is so tenuous and has been for many, 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 many years that the field is anxious. It's like during the time of COVID, lots and lots of people were suffering stress. Even people in very well-to-do homes in parts of the world where, Amazon delivered everything and food would come to the home and it wasn't like they had to go out and risk exposure. But nonetheless, there was an epidemic, a pandemic of stress going on, even amongst people who weren't necessarily that panicked about actually catching COVID. Young, otherwise healthy people who kind of knew, like, I'll be fine even if I get it. Because the field at that time, the field that we all live in, had become a field of stress. It was in the air, you could feel it. And you spent the formative years of your life in a place in which the field is threatened and anxious and stressed and divided. Aggression, defense, and kind of that constant pull. So I just want you to know that this isn't a failing on your part. It's like, if I spend too much time in the sun, I get sunburned. Right? It's not that there's something wrong with me. It's that I happen to be in an environment in which the sun was really strong and burned my skin. So just know that and don't feel like it's a failing in you. Now, as we talk in here all the time, we've all been impacted by our families of origin, our situations of origin, but the goal is not to be a victim of it. The goal is to see it, acknowledge it, know it, honor it, and then allow ourselves to grow and be free from it. As you're here, allow yourself, number one, to anchor into an experience of being held by the universe. I call it a trust fall into the universe. Develop a sense of not being alone. If you have a connection with God, with the divine, work on developing faith in that. If you don't, have faith in the creation, in Mother Ganga. There's a beautiful story of a holy person who had gone to a kingdom. And the king was showing the holy man around the kingdom. And the king was kind of an arrogant guy. Good guy, but kind of arrogant about his goodness. And he was walking this holy man through the kingdom, showing him like, oh, these are the schools that I've built for the kids. And these are the homes I've built for the poor people. And this is the hospital I've built for the sick. And the holy man bends down at a river and he picks up a rock. And he tells the army of the king, he says, break this rock. And so they break the rock, and inside the rock, there's this little frog. And the frog is living in this beautiful, nutrient-rich pool of water inside the rock. And the holy man says to the king, oh, did you do this for the frog also? Just a reminder. There is a power in the universe that actually is a power of sustenance, of holding, of nourishing, of nurturing, of caring. And allow yourself to anchor into that. For a lot of us, it's easier and beautiful to connect with that power in the form of the Mother Goddess. And you're here at a beautiful time. It's Diwali. We're celebrating the power of Goddess Lakshmi. And so you can, if it feels right, allow yourself to feel that power of the presence of the Divine Mother holding you. And in terms of going back, How we are when we go back is a product of how much we've allowed ourselves to really be changed when we're here. My sunburn heals very quickly. It's just a product of the environment. The moment I change my environment, it goes away. You don't want your inner change to be like that. You want it to be something that stays with you. And so while you're here, yeah, it's a peaceful place, it's a beautiful place, it's certainly nice being out of the Middle East anyway at this time, regardless of where you go. But being here in general is also very beautiful. So you've got this like double bonus. But don't allow the peace that you feel to be due just to the fact that you're not there or just due to the fact that you're here. Let it percolate deeply into you. What is it in you that you've accessed here? What have you discovered about yourself, in yourself? Journal about it, meditate on it, contemplate. Share it with those you feel close to. Make that your own. What are you discovering about yourself? What are you discovering about your strength, about your gifts? And carry that back with you. Because in the Middle East, we need people who are anchored and grounded and connected to their spiritual strength. And so if you can carry that back, not only is it going to be hugely transformative for you, but you will actually carry back a light into a place where it is needed so desperately. Beautiful. Other questions? Yes.
Namaste. Myself, Priyanshi Khadsalya. I'm from Surat, Gujarat. So, as today is Dhanteras, and I was born on this very precious day of Dhanteras.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you. So my great question to you is that how can I stay centered? How can I stay centered when life feels uncertain or painful, or I just know that I'm not in my state of mind?
Yeah, great. So the only way to stay centered when life is moving and whirling and twirling and going up and down around us is to realize that I am not that. But then I have to anchor into what am I? So if a boat is in the ocean and there's a storm in the ocean, the boat is going to go in the storm. But if the boat has dropped anchor, then no matter how big the storm is, the boat will stay stable. It drops anchor into the floor of the ocean. We drop anchor into the core of who we are. And that's what our spiritual practice gives us. It's what our introspection gives us when we talk about Svadhyay, or a study. It's a study of scripture, but it's also a study of self. Svadhyay is study of the self. Who am I? Because the external stuff is constantly changing. Around you and even in you, the cells of my body are constantly changing. We're all basically aging and dying as we sit here. Every one of us is aging and dying as we sit here. We're literally dropping skin cells all over the place. We're leaving bits of ourselves wherever we go. We're falling apart, basically. But who we are isn't changing. I'm not the skin cells that I've left on the couch. or the hair that I've left on the couch that, forensic scientists could come and pick up and know, that was Sadhviji. But I'm not that. This question of who am I? Koham, koham, koham. Who am I? Who am I? Because the body is changing, roles are changing, relationships change, even the ones that are theoretically stable, spouses, parents, kids. Well, as kids grow, as parents age, as spouses change, the relationship changes, even with the same person. Everything is changing. What is that in you that doesn't change? Meditate on that. And just keep asking yourself, who am I? Koham. The answer, of course, is soham. I am that. Who am I? I am that. And so the world around you is going to constantly move. It's the nature of nature. So will you. You'll get sick, you'll get well, you'll get sick, you'll get well, you'll get injured, you'll heal. But who are you that isn't sick, that isn't injured? Who are you? And focus on that. And then drop your anchor into that when the world around you starts to get stormy. Okay? Yes, beautiful. Acha, and then you, and then you. Ji.
Ma pranam. My name is Krishna. My daughter Medasri is editor Hindustan Times. She say me, go there and give greetings of Diwali to Ma. I was in Naimisaranya. There I saw the Kanakeshwari ji in Bhagavat. I came at once here. Today I was in Sant Ram Sarup Ashram. My daughter say, get to there and grasp the waves of Ma. So I want to celebrate Deepavali in your ashram. But your office give me one day only. I want to 2 days more. Please request it. I want to celebrate Deepavali
Let
in
us
your
talk
ways.
बाद में बात करेंगे. मैं पता लगा लेती हूँ. मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं है कि स्थिति क्या है. पता लग जाते हैं हम लोग. No problem. Yes, please.
माँ कोटि कोटि प्रणाम आपके चरणों में. I come from Nairobi, Africa, Kenya. My second visit. First was 1 day, now is 3 days, and I hope I can do a month. I am at a cusp of an age where I've been into a roller coaster in my life. I've seen it all, I feel that way, but I know there's a lot more to see. But since now it's very stable, and I have beautiful children who are well settled, some want me to stay home and have a restful life. I feel that I have a lot to give. And my clay is still there to remove by giving something back, which has given me a lot in Kenya. A lot of respect, a lot of love and affection, but I need to give back something. So I started a small school.
Yes, wonderful.
To train the underprivileged children, especially girls, in 2022, with a small notion that I can do something. And I've reached with 5 schools now.
Beautiful.
And I've trained 5,100 kids, 70% children, 98% employed. And I feel that there is so much people who are pulling me back because they feel I'm doing something which they should be doing or what, I don't know. There's a lot of pull back. And I'm hoping I can do far more than what I'm doing now. So I just need a clarity. Is it that I'm not able to do enough, or is it somebody is pulling me back? Is it something mentally I'm feeling it? So my clay is to give back and bring something.
Beautiful.
And I just need that guidance, Ma. Thank you.
Beautiful. This is exactly what you're supposed to do at this age. Pujya Swamiji always says that the 3 phases of our life are learn, earn, and return. We learn, then we use what we've learned to earn, and then we enter the returning phase of life. And of course, it has 2 meanings. One, we are getting ready to return back to source. But before then, we return that which we've learned and earned back to society, back to giving and sharing in all of the different ways that we have. So absolutely, retirement is not meant to be just sitting on porch swings and sipping lemonade all day long. It's a beautiful, beautiful instinct and feeling when we still have strength and health and a good head on our shoulders and a brain that functions and abilities. This is what we're supposed to do with it. If all of the retired people who still were in even decent health actually used their abilities to give back, to share, we'd be in a far different state across the world. So it's beautiful. I hope that you inspire many, many other people to do it. The only piece that I would suggest and offer that might remove some of the blocks that you're finding is remove the I from the equation. It's not you doing it. It's the divine doing it through you. And so when we focus on what I have to do, then it becomes all about me, and it can become very frustrating. It can also be very ego gratifying, but it also can be very frustrating because we find ourselves hitting walls, hitting blocks. But when we offer ourselves of just, okay, God, use me. You know what I've got, you know what I can do, you know everything. I'm yours. Use me. The work on the outside might look exactly the same. Chances are it will. But the internal experience is going to be vastly different. Because then, rather than it being about what do I have to do, it's about how much can I keep surrendering, keep surrendering, keep surrendering. And what I have found personally in my life, and that I have learned from so many as well, is the more we surrender, the more the universe flows through us. The more we try to make it about us, the more we actually block ourselves from the flow of the universe. And so every day, just let that be your prayer. Oh God, use me more today. Thank you so much for using me some yesterday, but could you use me even more today? Let me be more empty of my ego, of my desires, of my attachments, of my issues, more empty of that so that you can flow through me more. And just let that be your prayer. Beautiful. Yes, of course. Wonderful. Have a beautiful rest of your... We'll start with your question tomorrow. Have a beautiful rest of your evening tonight. Tomorrow we'll start with her question and then move into the others. And a beautiful morning and day to our family joining from all over the world. And So, so much love to all of you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Pujya Sadhviji, for your beautiful guidance in this moment through the challenges that we face and the questions that we have. And speaking of questions, there's so many of you that probably had questions you didn't get a chance to ask. So we want to give you that opportunity. And so at the back we have a sign-up sheet where you can write down your question that will be definitely answered at another satsang. We won't just take it and keep it, but we will definitely answer it. And you can also, for the people online, go to sadhviji.org and put in your question, or on one of our many groups on Facebook, Instagram, or even Twitter or X, you can write in a question to us and we will definitely get it answered for you. And you can stay in touch with us by watching us live every day on Instagram, YouTube, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So there's many ways to stay in touch. We also have a beautiful podcast called Ask Sadhviji, which is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So much love to you and have a very beautiful, beautiful